next guest is one of our most popular television presenters and comedians, having done everything from hosting Family Fortunes... Oh, that hurt. to starring in Hairspray the musical. He was ever so good. He's back on stage now. Please welcome, or nearly soon, very soon, please welcome Les Dennis.
Oh, me. Oh, OK. Hello.
Back on stage, the television presenter.
Straight in. How are you doing?
I'm doing all right. It's a strange dichotomy for you, going from presenter to actor to actor to presenter.
Yeah, backwards and forwards.
Preference, or...?
I really love... I love both, you know. I mean, getting out in front of an audience at a studio like this, it's so warm, isn't it lovely? But getting out on stage with other actors, that's really lovely as well, because having done so many years as a comic on your own, you know, in a dressing room and then going on stage, to be with comrades, with other actors is great, and I'm having a great time with the actors.
Yeah, you've got somebody else to blame as well as yourself. But not one play.
Not one play, two.
Yeah. Now, the first one is called Certified.
Certified.
Promising title.
Yeah. It was originally called Certified Male, and we did it in Edinburgh about 5 years ago, and it is about the male condition, you know. It's about 4 guys, 3 executives who are not sure whether they're going to keep their jobs, are taken by their boss, played by Christopher Timothy, the wonderful Christopher Timothy. Yeah. There's myself, Glyn Nicholas, and O.T. Fag-Benley. We don't know whether we're going to come back or not from this restructuring think tank with our jobs or not.
Is this a sort of male version of what a friend of mine calls the Virginia monologue?
Well, I suppose in the sense that it's about the male condition as that was about the female condition, yeah. And when people come and see this play, they go, that's you, and that's you, and women are nudging their husbands going, that's you, that's just like you. I play this guy, you know, he's got 3 mortgages, 4 kids, 5 credit cards over the limit, you know, and the chances of getting a job...
So do you like playing yourself?
Yes, playing with burnt-out executive, yeah, so, you know, no research. It's me.
The other character is a character close to your own heart, a guy called Jigsy.
Jigsy,
Tell us
yes.
about Jigsy.
Well, we just went up to Edinburgh for the Edinburgh Festival to do a play called Jigsy, which we're taking to Liverpool later on, and it's about a Liverpool comic. It takes place in a dressing room in the late 90s, as the working men's clubs were kind of dying out. And basically, he sits and looks at the career that he never really had. You know, he's like and it's based on the template for it is a guy called Jackie Hamilton, a comedian that I knew. And Jackie was really funny, you know. Shall I tell you one of Jackie's jokes? So I was there with me mate, and I said to Annie, he said, "You're not looking so happy tonight." He said, "Well, I've got to have a vasectomy, haven't I?" I said, "Well, you haven't got to have one if you don't want one." He said, "Well, she's told me I've got to have one, you know, or she's breaking up the family and divorcing me." I said, "Well, have you tried talking to her about it?" He said, "We've been arguing about it for months. The other night, I went out for a pint and her and the kids had a vote as to whether I should have one or not. And I lost 13-12. He was that old-style comic, you know, that just told... you know, old-fashioned gags.
Are there resonances with things like that? Because this fabled thing about comics are deeply sad people at heart. You know, the old Tony Hancock syndrome, you know, trying to find out why he was funny, and in the end, it did for him, and he committed suicide. I mean, there is this supposedly innate sadness in a comic. Is it real, or is it only in some?
Well, you know, within the play, we kind of explore that, and Jigsy says, why is it? Why do we seem to want our funny men to die like Peter Sellers and Hancock, sad and disappointed? We kind of like... we feel that if they've been given genius, they should know better how to use it. But, you know, it's interesting, that kind of, you know, the comic and the tragedy and, you know, the clown, the tears of a clown, isn't it?
But you see, in theory, it should be the happiest thing when you go onto a stage and make people laugh. It's the most wonderful feeling.
And yet there was a guy who went to the doctors and he said, "Oh, I'm really depressed, you know, what can I do?" And the doctor said, "Go and see Grok," who was an amazing clown. He said, "Go and see Grok, he'll cheer you up." And the guy said, "I am Grok." So... who cheers cheers up the funny men?
Yeah,
There is that, that whole... I find it quite fascinating, that.
I was down at Chichester Festival City last night doing a one-man there. They got these things that come up onto the stage called vomitories. and I said, I know why they call this, because when you're down there waiting to go on the stage, that's exactly what you feel like doing. Do you get terrible nerves?
Well, I think you do before you go on stage, yeah, and it's good that you do. You have to be apprehensive and have a little bit of fire in your belly. And I was talking, Chris Timothy was saying, because we were rehearsing, we did our final producers run of Certified the other day before we go to Leicester this week, and Chris and I said, are you a pacer? And he said, absolutely. And he's, you're either somebody who sits quietly in the corner, thinking I've got to go on, or you're a pacer, and we're both pacers. Are you a pacer?
Oh, I'm a pacer.
Yeah, meaning basically you walk up and down thinking, oh no, what if I get it wrong? What if I dry? What if, what if I lose my lines?
I was in this dressing room last night and I opened the window.
Yeah.
And I closed the window.
Yeah.
Then I turned the lights on over the mirrors. Then I turned the lights off. And when you get on, it's fine, but it's just getting there, isn't it, really?
Yeah, yeah.
I hate people who talk about themselves when they're interviewing somebody, don't you? I'm sorry about that.
Jigsy, this guy, he doesn't want to go on for his second spot, so he says, I doubt I'll have to go on for my second spot anyway. Little trick the comic Mick Miller taught me, and he gets... steal 3 or 4 balls from the bingo machine. They can't get a winner. Game goes on all night. Mick Miller, the comic, did that one time. Yeah. He actually thought, I'm not going on for my second spot, and he stole these bingo balls, and the game was going on all night.
Next time I go on, I'll go and steal some bingo balls. Good luck. Certified's on at the Curve Theatre in Leicester from the 20th of September, and Jigsy is at the Liverpool Royal Court from the 23rd of October. Don't confuse the two.
Don't confuse the two.
My thanks to Les Dennis. Thank you. In 1960, the average age of first-time home buyers was 24. Recent reports show that now the average age of first-time buyers is 35. So how do you gain a foothold on the property ladder before you're of pensionable age? And how can you help your children or grandchildren to do so? Joining me now with a how-to guide are property guru Martin Roberts and financial expert Jasmine Birtles.
It's welcome, lovely to see you.
Well, so we found out why it's like that. The most difficult thing is how do you do it then, Martin, if it's that difficult?
It sounds horrendous. We've all had that feeling of moving into our first home and how fantastic it is. And I don't think people should give up. These figures are quite scary. 35 years old to get your first house. But there are things you can do, even in the current market conditions. It's not a lost cause. First of all, you've got to believe there are ways and means. If you know what you're doing, you really can do it. And Jasmine and me have come up with some really interesting ways that if you're sitting there thinking, I'm never going to get on the property ladder, or you're thinking, my children are never going to leave home, there's things you can do that will actually make that happen.
Oh, my two have both just gone.
Oh. They'll be back.
No, it's awful, actually. I'm very lonely. Jasmine, point number one, you want to do it. What can you do? What's the practical point? Because generally they want far too much deposit, don't they?
Well, that is the big problem, yes. It's the deposit. Now, really, honestly, they want 20% deposit. And when you think the average house in this country is about 163 quid, 163,000 pounds, only
that was for my mum and dad, actually. Well, actually, my mum and dad got their house for 800 quid in 1950.
Well, marvellous. Yeah, now you need to find over 30 grand just, to put it in the deposit. Exactly, 30.
So
well,
the ways round this, then? Nobody's going to be able to find that kind of money,
it is tricky, yes. So there are ways that you can get... maybe mum and dad can help you. It's possible, they've got some money to maybe do a joint mortgage with you, or maybe even, get a bit of equity release on their own home. Or there are some government schemes now...
A bit of equity release there, you mean remortgage?
It's quite possible, yeah. You could potentially remortgage your own
or not necessarily just that, just act as a guarantor for your children's mortgage. So you don't actually say, I'm going to pay the mortgage, but what the financial institutions want at the moment is security, that they think that money is going to be paid. So maybe mum and dad can step in and say, well, if the kids fail, we're there. The only thing is to be aware of that in that case, the parents will be liable, and so could their properties.
Yes.
And there aren't so many of those mortgages around, but they do exist. Yeah. It's a bit... And then also, there's a new government scheme, First Buy, relatively new anyway. So with that one, you only have to put 5% deposit down, but it is only for new build houses, so it has to be a new build property.
But the great thing about new build houses, Martin, is they've got new plumbing in, they've got new wiring. You're taking on a property which not instantly, apart from snagging, that dreadful word, you know, where things go wrong with new builds, you're not going to have to do any major work, hopefully.
You aren't, and therefore new builds can be a really good thing to go for. However, if you're a first-time buyer, one thing you've got in your favour is that you can do that thing called labour. Labour's expensive if you buy it, but you've got time and energy to put into a house. Maybe as well as thinking about a new build, think about a property that needs a bit of work that you can add value to. Put a new kitchen in, a new bathroom. Just do some stuff that's not expensive to do, but you, as a first-time buyer, once you're in that house, can maybe add value to.
Things you should be aware of, then, Jasmine, when you are a first-time buyer, some obvious points that maybe people might overlook are things like what?
Well, getting a mortgage, for example, there are lots of things that you can do to help yourself. For a start, I mean, if you're going for a mortgage, don't try and get credit for loans and other things at the same time. In fact, try and make sure you've paid off as many loans as possible, because they will look at that. And also, make sure that you're on the electoral roll. It sounds a weird one, but if you're on the electoral roll, then that means that the credit referencing agencies are much happier about you. You know, you're a real person.
It's one of these ironies of life, though. If you always pay your credit card off when the bill comes, you've got a rotten credit rating.
It's bizarre. The most important thing is to know what your credit rating is, because there could be errors on your credit file. For instance, somebody living in the house before you who had bad credit or didn't pay their bills. Even, you know, somebody with the same name as you whose credit file has been attached to yours. So it's free to check your credit rating. Just go online. There's 2 or 3 big credit ratings agencies and just do a check on yourself and say, is this information that's there correct? Because it could be that you're being prejudiced by information that's there, but which is wrong.
We've got 3 houses here which are potential starter homes in different parts of the country. Let's have a look at them. The first one, I think, is in Stirling in Scotland. So this house, I mean, it's over a shop, presumably.
Doesn't look much when you look at it from the outside. However, I think as a first-time buyer, maybe look at outside the area where you're from, where prices of properties, if you're in London, for instance, you could be looking at an average of 300,000 for a house. So if you can't afford that as a first-time buyer, look at other parts of the country or within commuting distance. For instance, this. You know, you're getting on the property ladder, and the deposit, if you have to find 20% of that, is going to be £11,000. 20% of a £300,000 house is £60,000.
It's a bit different. And the sort of mortgage that you probably get for this is a fixed rate. Basically, that's what you're looking at the moment. The majority of mortgages now are fixed. And, you know, you should be able to get something for about 4%. If you go for a sort of 80% mortgage, 4.5%, that's the good thing. The one good thing is that mortgage rates generally are really low at the moment, particularly if you can have at least, well, 80% or less that you're borrowing.
The next one we've got is in Exmouth.
Yeah, lovely, isn't it?
Oh, well, Penzance,
yes, Penzance, yeah.
Very close to Exmouth, Penzance. Thank you for the information. They're just testing. It's only a county away.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes,
it's a lovely place, isn't it?
Lovely.
Now, I mean, for example, with this sort of thing, say you're the sort of person who, even if you're a first-time buyer, you might be a salesperson, you get big bonuses, maybe you work in the city, you could get an offset mortgage. If you've got enough to put 30% down, and I know that's a huge amount on 164, but some people have. With offset mortgages, I like them because you put your current account and your savings and your mortgage all in one big bag, and anything you've got in your savings is offset against your mortgage. So when you pay your mortgage, actually you pay more of the actual debt rather than boring old interest.
Well, we'll just take a look at this last picture because we've talked about this, and this is a new build, so 123,000, but that you could just get a 5% deposit on a new build house like that.
Yes, and 123, that's below the stamp duty level as well, so you don't even have to waste money on stamp duty. So you can put 5% down, and then the house builder puts 10% in, the government puts 10% in, so you only have to get a 75% mortgage. So that's nice and cheap as well.
There are ways forward.
There are, and that's a really important message. Don't lose hope. It well, there are ways which you can actually achieve that first home.
And hopefully you've helped a lot of people on that first rung, or certainly
so.
to get it within reach. My thanks to Martin Roberts and Jasmine Bertels. Thank you very much.